bringing you another episode of our college football show. I am here with the sharpest of bettors, Alex and Joe. Guys, how was your Thanksgiving?
My Thanksgiving was great. Always great to be with family. 500 week in the picking department, so not what we want. But lately, that's been the bad weeks. Have been usually 2-2. So, we'll take that. Finish the regular season solidly in the profit zone, and would love to build on that now that we are into the time of the year where champions separate themselves.
Yeah, my Thanksgiving was good, and I got the 3-0 sweep last week on the show, so I'll take it. So let's try to get another 3-0 sweep this week.
All right, well, we love a sweep. We really do here on this show. All right, Joe, with that being said, I'm going to start with you today, but let's just recap how our last week went. The regular season is over, and now the schedule moves towards Championship Saturday, which we have been waiting for a minute, guys. Are you excited? And from there, we got Selection Sunday.
Yeah, I am excited. I think the conference championship games are fun. They're still a relatively new invention in college football. To think that for more than 100 years of the sport, they did not exist, and they definitely didn't. I've come to like them a lot. I think that they're a fun way to wrap up a season, and I think that some of these games this weekend are really, really good.
Well, we've got 10 games. It's technically week 14. We got 7 games involving ranked teams, and we have 5 games where both teams are ranked. So let's get right into it. Joe, like I said, we're going to start with you. One of the biggest matchups that will get the most attention this week is the Pac-12 Championship on Friday night between USC and Utah. The Trojans are trying to make it to the college football playoffs. They're ranked number 5, but they need to avenge a regular season loss to Utah. What do you got for us in this game?
Yeah, earlier in the season, I was on Utah in that matchup, and Utah got home for me as they won on a 2-point conversion at the last play of the game on a fantastic game, maybe the best game of the season. Now the line shifts back towards USC. USC is like a 2.5, 2-point favorite, might even go up to 3. I have not really been a big fan of USC all season. I haven't really bet on them that much. I think their defense has been a little suspect. However, they have proved me wrong every step of the way. I really think this USC team is legit at this point after watching them. I actually bet on Notre Dame this past weekend. I thought Notre Dame was going to keep it close or even maybe win. Caleb Williams is playing out of his mind at the moment. His stat line does not even do his performance justice on Saturday, to be honest. He was incredible. I am rolling with USC money line here. I think USC is just in prime form right now. They played a near perfect game against Notre Dame. They put up around 38 points. They didn't turn the ball over against a really good defense. And USC is just firing on all cylinders right now. And that defense is just good enough to get enough stops or get enough turnovers so that their offense can take care of all the work. Utah is a really good team. I just don't think they are good enough on both sides of the ball to counteract how Caleb Williams is playing right now. And USC has the revenge factor with the chance to playoff on the line. I don't see USC choking in this spot, so I'm going to roll with USC money line. And then the next one I'm going to roll with is a lower profile game. I'm going to go with North Texas plus 8.5, might even be plus 9 at some spots. North Texas kept this game really close with UTSA in the regular season as they only lost by 4 points, I think. UTSA's defense is just not very good. North Texas has the ability to put up a lot of points, as we've seen throughout the season, and UTSA just hasn't been able to defend very well. They gave up 31 points to UTEP this past weekend in a game they really should have lost against any other team other than UTEP, who was a bottom feeder in that conference. I just don't think UTSA and the explosiveness to win this game by 10-plus points. I think North Texas even wins this game straight up. So I'm going to roll with the North Texas Mean Green at plus 8.5.
All right. Before we get to Alex's pick, I definitely have one question for you. Are you rolling with Purdue this weekend or Michigan?
The Big Ten is weird because this was – I don't want to say it, but it was kind of the Big Ten championship this past weekend. And now Michigan has this game where they got to play Purdue as 16-point favorites. Last year, they were in the exact same spot, and they blew out Iowa 42-3 in the Big Ten championship. I would roll with Purdue on the spread this weekend.
Oh, okay.
Just because Purdue always
What are they getting right now?
16, I think, or 15.
Okay.
And Purdue always seems to play up in these spots. They beat Ohio State. They beat Ohio State at Ohio State a few years ago. They always play well as underdogs. Shout out Payne Durham, my boy. He played starting tight end. I went to high school with him. He is the X factor for them on offense. But I would roll with Purdue at plus 16. I'm hoping Michigan wins, but I would have to roll with Purdue on the spread.
Okay, well, that is interesting. Well, I'm rooting for you. Your Michigan wins.
Fingers crossed.
Well, besides the Wolverines, we are now moving on to Alex's picks of the day, where he is betting first off on the Sun Belt Conference Championship. It's going on this Saturday. Coastal Carolina is taking on the Troy Trojans. Now, Alex, what do you got for us for this game?
Yeah, so Joe picked the Trojans in the Pac-12 game, and I'm picking the Trojans in the Sun Belt game. I have Troy minus 9.5. I think I would like Troy at anything up to minus 10 here. Probably would no play it if it gets to the other side of 10, but would stay away from Coastal at pretty much any number here. I watched some of the Coastal Carolina game last weekend against James Madison because, as you'll remember, I picked Coastal on this program, plus 14 in that game.
You picked Coastal a couple of times, too.
And generally, I think Coastal's been pretty good to me. But in this case, I told myself, well, sure, they don't have a lot to play for because they already clinched the spot in this game. And well, sure, Grayson McCall, their very good quarterback, is injured. He's not playing. But it was a big number. I saw a 14-point spread, getting 14 for one of the 2 or 3 best teams in this conference. And I thought that's a lot of points. I'm going to take that. Did not work out for me. They lost by 40. It was one of the lesser picks that I've made on this show this year. They looked completely out of their depth, not only on offense, which maybe is to be expected without McCall, but on defense as well. Troy has an excellent defense, one of the best defenses in the country, group of 5 or not. And I don't know if Grayson McCall might try to give it a go in this game. If he does, I do not think he's going to be at full strength. And it seems kind of iffy to me that he might play at all. I don't think Troy is going to give up very much here. And I do not think that the Coastal defense is stout enough to prevent Troy from scoring, somewhere into the upper 20s probably in this game. Kamani Vidal, very good running back for Troy. Gunnar Watson, the quarterback there, has played decently, especially in recent weeks. I like Troy a lot. I think they've been a great story this year under John Summerall, and I think they're going to win this game pretty comfortably. So I'm on the Trojans minus 9.5 at home. Elsewhere, I'm going to go to the Mountain West, another G5 spread for you here. I'm going to take Boise State over Fresno. Minus 5 for Boise. Boise is hosting this game on the blue turf. They have actually gotten it together pretty nicely in the back half of this season. It was really iffy for them the first month or so. I think that the Boise defense is the best side of the ball for either team in this game by a wide margin. The thing that Fresno is really good at with Jake Haener, their quarterback, is this dink and dunk underneath passing game, very West Coast style. I think that Boise is not a great matchup for them in that regard. They've allowed 51% completions this year. They don't back off you and give you the short stuff, the kind of stuff that Fresno relies on. They really clamp down on passing efficiency, playing close to the line of scrimmage. I think that the biggest problem, obviously, that comes with that approach is that you're vulnerable to the deep pass, and that's been the case for Boise. But that's also not a strength of Fresno's. I just do not think it's a very good matchup for the Bulldogs. So I'm on the Broncos here, laying 5 points.
All right. Well, now that we've gotten through that, I like that we're laying some points today. We've only bet on spreads. Oh, no, we have a money line. We're not betting on any totals this week, but we are when it comes to Alex, whose pick of the week is a total spread for the Clemson and North Carolina game. What do you got for us here, Alex?
Yeah, so Joe and I see this game kind of similarly, and he can talk about his angle in a second. I'm going over here at 61.5, and obviously this total, you'll find this within about a point in either direction, depending on where you look. I like the over in this game. North Carolina has settled down somewhat in recent weeks, but I think it's important to remember that this team is basically all offense, zero defense at core. Drake May and Josh Downs have not been at their best the last couple of weeks, the quarterback and receiver for UNC, but they've been one of the best passer and pass catcher tandems in the country this year. They have put a ton of yards and a ton of points on a ton of teams, including some really good defenses. Clemson has a good defense, but I think it is increasingly a good, not a world dominant, terrifying elite defense. We've seen that a couple of times recently. Obviously, when they got blown out by Notre Dame and when they lost, giving up about 30 points to South Carolina just this past weekend. I don't think that Clemson is going to have a particularly easy time stopping them. I think, on the other hand, that the Clemson offense, which has had its ups and downs and certainly had some downs against South Carolina, is going to have a good time playing against this Gene Chizik-led North Carolina defense that really has not had a good time stopping teams all season. It just smells like offense to me. It smells like offense, and offense on both sides of this game, no matter who's on the field. And I think that feeling that this is going to be an offensive game kind of supports North Carolina as well to go ahead and maybe even win this game. But Joe, I'll let you explain that.
Yeah,
Joe, just to reiterate, we are looking at the Clemson Tigers game. They are taking on the North Carolina Tar Heels, and this is an ACC championship that we've been waiting for a while. Joe, your pick plays right into Alex's, so why don't you just go for it?
Yeah, I think me and Alex kind of see this game very similarly. I'm not a big fan of Clemson. I haven't been all season. Their defense is really good, but they have just really beaten up on really terrible teams. I mean, they blew out Georgia Tech in the second half of their first game of the year. They blew out Miami. They've been blowing out bad teams, which makes them look more impressive than they really are. I mean, this team nearly gave up 50 points to Wake Forest, and they gave up 31 points to South Carolina, like 30, 40 plus to Notre Dame. This Clemson team just has not played up to what their standard was. And it really reminds me of when Clemson had Kelly Bryant at quarterback. They're a good team. They're just not an elite team like they were with Trevor Lawrence, Taj Boyd, Deshaun Watson. It's just not the same type of group. North Carolina has an elite offense, and they've kind of been playing pretty bad the last couple of weeks. I do think the North Carolina offense will play up and should regress positively back to their mean. Drake May is one of the best players in the nation this season. Probably will go to New York for the Heisman ceremony, or at least I think he should. I think North Carolina either wins this game straight up or keeps it within a touchdown. Even though their defense is pretty bad, I think their offense can make up for it. So I'm rolling with UNC plus 7.5.
All right, guys, we got 2 UNC games, 1 total and 1 spread. We love that. I wonder what those odds would be if we parlayed them. Probably like a plus 300, I would say. I'm trying to take my knowledge from Sharp Bets Today and our parlays, but I'm not very good on that show either. So when it comes to predicting, as for me, I am looking at the TCU game where the Horned Frogs are so close to being undefeated this entire college football season, and it will be their program's first college football playoff appearance. They are facing the number 10 team. They are currently number 3, and they're playing Kansas State, the Wildcats. Do you guys ever seen High School Musical?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, so then like the Wildcats, right?
Absolutely. And Kansas State, much like Zac Efron's team in that movie, is difficult. It's a tough out.
It truly is. The Wildcats just defeated Kansas last week, 47-27. They covered as favorites. They're number 12 in the CFP rankings, the college football playoff rankings. The Horned Frogs, though, they cruised to victory with a 62-14 finish over Iowa State, and they covered as favorites too. They're number 4 in the college football playoff rankings. Now, Kansas State has won 3 of the last 4 meetings against TCU, but the last time they played, which was this season, literally a little bit over a month ago, they won 38-28, and they won outright as underdogs. So I'm thinking that they do it again. I know it took a valiant second half for the TCU Horned Frogs. They were going into the half down 28-17. Then they scored 24 unanswered points. The only thing is, for this game, we need to make sure that they're not down because, like Alex said, this team is not one to be trifled with. Alex and Joe, what do you guys think? We're doing money line here, by the way. They're minus 2.5 favorites at some books, minus 2 at others, but I'm saying strictly money line.
I think this is a tough game because TCU is much better than what the books' power rankings of them are all season. I mean, if you just bet TCU every single game this year, I mean, you're just swimming in money because they always cover these like ridiculous spreads. They were like getting 7.5 points against Texas and they won straight up. I mean, they have just been free money so often this season, and the books just keep disrespecting them on these lines. I mean, to get an undefeated team at like minus 130 in a championship game, I just think you have to keep rolling with TCU at this point. I can't bet against TCU at this point.
Yeah, I can't bet against TCU either. I am personally off of this game altogether because I like Kansas State too. And I think that Kansas State, had they not had some quarterback depth chart problems in the middle of that last meeting in Fort Worth, might have beaten TCU. And we might be having a very different discussion about TCU heading into this weekend. TCU has figured a lot of things out as the season's gone on. And I think that, there's a case that earlier on in the year, they were getting away with some things. They were fortunate, whereas I think as the year's gone on, they've just become a juggernaut. I still really like them. I think they're going to win this game, but I'm a little scared because of that Kansas State running game that there could be some problems. I like your pick, though. I think it's a respectable angle to take in this game.
Yeah.
Well, TCU is strong on both sides of the scrimmage line. So they've met 16 times this entire college football history. The games are split. This is their 17th time, so someone's got to get the tiebreaker here. I am hoping it's TCU, and we can come back on this show and all of our picks for the week's win, but we'll see what happens.
Can't wait.
All right, guys. As for that, we will be back next week to discuss Army versus Navy. It's the only college football game on that week. We got to come up with some props for this one, guys.
Probably be on the
Yep. We're gonna be doing it. I don't even know what the number is yet, but
blind it.
We will figure it out. And then until then, we will see you guys next Monday. Happy betting.